visuals, taste, and the truth about Q.
Introduction, what is that smell?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Me Too English Club, the podcast where we explore the world, culture, and amazing food through English. I'm your host, Emily.
And I'm Paul. Hello, everyone. Emily, right now I am standing in the middle of a super crowded, bustling night market here in Taiwan. The energy is crazy. And right in front of me, I see a street vendor cooking on a massive, round, sizzling flat iron pan. It smells incredible, like a rich blend of fresh ocean breeze, toasted eggs, and sizzling oil.
Paul, you are looking at none other than the undeniable king of the Taiwanese night market. You are looking at the famous oyster omelet.
The classic oyster omelet. In local Taiwanese, we call it oatze. But wait a second, Emily. As I look at it closely, it doesn't look like any breakfast omelet I've ever eaten back home. It's partially transparent, looks almost like jelly, and it's super bouncy.
You hit the nail on the head, Paul. It is completely different from a classic French or Western-style breakfast omelet. That's why so many foreign visitors are fascinated by it. In this first part of our episode, we're going to learn how to vividly describe this unique texture, understand its flavors, and master how to order it like a local.
That sounds awesome. Honestly, my stomach is already rumbling. Let's dive into the vocabulary so I can impress my foreign friends next time we hit the night market.
The name. Is it really an omelet? First things first, let's break down the name. In English, we call it oyster omelet. Let's break down the first word. O-Y-S-T-E-R, pronounced oyster. It starts with that bright oi sound, just like boy or joy. Let's practice, Paul.
Oyster. And the second word is omelet, so put them together, oyster omelet. But Emily, why do we call it an omelet if it feels so different?
Great question. In Western cuisine, a traditional omelet consists almost entirely of beaten eggs, whisked with butter, sometimes folded around cheese, mushrooms, or ham. But in Taiwan, chefs add a magical secret ingredient that completely transforms the dish: starch water.
Starch water. Spell that for us. S-T-A-R-C-H, starch. So that is why the omelet turns translucent, gooey, and sticky when it hits the hot griddle.
Exactly. Technically speaking, it's closer to a thick, savory seafood pancake than a basic omelet. But oyster omelet is the universally accepted English name. Let's practice saying it together one more time. Oyster omelet.
Oyster omelet. Hands down the most famous street food snack in the entire market.
Describing the texture beyond Q. Now, Paul, take a big bite. How would you describe the feeling in your mouth? I bet the first word that pops into your head is the classic Taiwanese term, Q.
100%. It is so Q. It has that perfect resistance when you bite into it. But every time I say, this food is very Q to my friends from America or Europe, they just look at me like I'm speaking a completely alien language.
Exactly. Q or QQ is a brilliant local slang term, but it does not exist in standard English. If you say, it's very Q, an English speaker won't understand what you mean. Instead, you should master two essential vocabulary words, gooey and chewy.
Ooh, gooey. How do you spell that? G-O-O-E-Y.
Spot on. Gooey describes something soft, thick, and wonderfully sticky. Think of melted mozzarella cheese, toasted marshmallows, or the clear starch layer of our oyster omelets. Repeat after me. Gooey.
Gooey. And what about the second word?
Chewy. We actually used this word when we talked about boba pearls in our bubble tea episode. Chewy means a food requires you to bite and chew it several times before swallowing.
I see. So I can combine them and say the translucent part of the oyster omelet is gooey and chewy.
Perfect sentence construction. But wait, there's more. What about the outer layer where the batter hits the hot oil on the edges of the pan?
Oh, those thin edges. They are nice and crispy. C-R-I-S-P-Y. That's my favorite part.
Mine too. So the ultimate description is, it is crispy on the edges and gooey in the middle. Let's say that together.
It is crispy on the edges and gooey in the middle. That paints such a clear picture.
The soul of the dish, red sauce.
Now, Emily, look at the top of the dish. The chef just ladled a generous splash of red sauce over the omelet. My tourist friends always ask, is that tomato ketchup?
Oh, goodness, no. Definitely not ketchup. If you put plain ketchup on an oyster omelet, a Taiwanese chef might weep. It's a specialty sauce that combines sweet, salty, and savory flavors. In English, we describe this delicious flavor combination as sweet and savory.
Sweet and savory. S-A-V-O-R-Y means pleasing, salty, or rich, right? Not sweet like sugar, but rich and delicious. And the texture of the sauce is quite thick, too.
Right. It's a thick sauce, often made with a mixture of soy paste, sweet chili sauce, peanut powder, and starch to give it body. It's sweet, savory, slightly salty, and often carries a tiny kick of heat. Repeat after me. The signature red sauce is sweet and savory.
The signature red sauce is sweet and savory.
And if you are ordering at the stall, the owner will usually ask if you like spicy food. If you want spicy, you can say, "Spicy sauce, please." If you prefer mild, you say, "Not spicy, thank you," or "No spice, thanks."
Practice. Ordering at the night market.
Let's put everything we've learned into a real-life practice scenario. I'll act as the busy night market stall owner, and Paul, you're the hungry tourist ordering food. Pay attention to the natural rhythm of the conversation, everyone. Hi there, welcome. What can I get for you today?
Hi, one oyster omelet, please.
Great choice. For here or to go?
For here, please. I'd like to sit at the table.
No problem. Do you want spicy sauce on top?
Just a little bit of spicy sauce, please. Not too much.
Got it. That will be 70 NT dollars. Take a seat over there. Fantastic job, Paul. Now to all our listeners tuning in, let's practice the most important sentence. Repeat after Paul. One oyster omelet, please.
One oyster omelet, please.
And now let's practice expressing your spice preference. Just a little bit of spicy sauce, please.
Just a little bit of spicy sauce, please. Part 1 conclusion. Wow, Emily, my hot plate has just arrived. The steam rising off it smells absolutely heavenly, and the contrast between the red sauce and green vegetables is beautiful. It's so gooey, savory, and delicious.
I'm so glad you're enjoying it. But tell me, Paul, do you actually know how the chef turns simple starch water into this amazingly translucent, bouncy dish?
Honestly, watching them cook on that huge flat pan looks like pure culinary magic to me. I have no idea how they get the timing so perfect without burning it.
Well, magic is just science and skill combined. In part 2, we're going to step behind the counter, peek into the chef's kitchen, and learn all the key ingredients and action verbs used to cook this dish.
Awesome! I'm going to finish this bite right now. Listeners, grab a napkin and we'll see you in part 2.
Part 2, Chef's Kitchen. How is it made? The core ingredients. Welcome back to part 2 of our oyster omelet special on Me Too English Club. Now, let's step up closer to the prep station. Paul, take a look at the chef's ingredients lined up in front of the griddle. What do you see?
Well, first I see a huge container filled with water and packed with small, plump, fresh oysters. They look incredibly fresh, glistening under the night market lights.
Yes, oysters. In Taiwan, small coastal oysters are preferred because they pack a concentrated sea salty flavor. What else is on the counter?
Next to the oysters, there are bowls of fresh whole eggs and a mountain of chopped green vegetables. Usually, I see green leafy vegetables or cabbage.
Exactly. Depending on the region or season, vendors use chopped bok choy, crown daisy, or bean sprouts.
They add a sharp, aromatic punch. But Emily, what is that mysterious white liquid in the big bucket next to the oil?
That, my friend, is the single most crucial element of the entire dish, starch water. It's a precise mixture of water and sweet potato flour.
Sweet potato flour. Aha, that explains everything. Sweet potato flour creates that elasticity when heated. That's the secret behind why the texture is so chewy and satisfying.
Cooking actions: pan fry and pour. Now that we know the ingredients, let's examine the chef's techniques and cooking verbs. Look at the big, heavy flat iron skillet. The chef is pan frying.
Pan fry, P-A-N-F-R-Y. It means to cook food in a shallow pan with a small amount of hot oil, right?
Exactly. First, the chef ladles a handful of fresh oysters directly onto the scorching hot surface to pan-fry them for a few seconds until they sizzle and release their fragrant aroma. Then comes the second action, pour.
Pour, P-O-U-R. Fun fact for English learners, pour is pronounced just like the word pour, but it means to transfer liquid from one container onto a surface.
Great vocabulary tip, Paul. The chef pours the scoop of the white starch slurry directly over the sizzling oysters. As soon as the starch hits the hot oil, it instantly solidifies into a wide, gooey, translucent circle.
Right after that, the chef cracks a fresh egg directly on top of the starch, breaks the yolk with a spatula, and tosses a handful of fresh vegetables over the egg.
Let's practice putting this full action into a clear sentence. Repeat after Paul. Pour the starch water over the oysters.
Pour the starch water over the oysters.
The hardest part, the flip. Now comes the moment of truth. The omelet is wide, heavy, sticky on top, and sizzling underneath. The chef needs to cook the other side. This requires the absolute hardest cooking move.
Oh, I love watching this part. The chef slides a broad metal spatula under the delicate omelet, gives a swift flick of the wrist, and flip.
Yes, flip. F-L-I-P. It's a lightning-fast movement. If the chef hesitates or flips too slowly, the entire omelet tears apart into a messy heap.
That takes years of daily practice to master. Let me practice saying that action verb, flip.
Let's practice a full sentence. Listeners, repeat after Paul. The chef flips the omelet expertly.
The chef flips the omelet expertly.
After flipping it over, the chef pan-fries the other side for another minute until the edges turn golden brown and delightfully crispy. Finally, he glides the spatula underneath and slides the omelet neatly onto a plate.
And to top it all off, he smothers it with that thick, shiny, sweet and savory red sauce. Absolutely beautiful.
Cultural context, comfort food. Paul, while we savor this dish, let's talk about its origins. Did you know that the Taiwanese oyster omelet actually has a fascinating historical origin?
Really? I heard a rumor that it was originally created during a time of extreme war and food shortage. Is that true?
That's the most famous historical legend. Legend has it that back in the 17th century, during a military siege, soldiers ran completely out of rice and grain rations. To feed the army, cooks gathered wild oysters from the coastal mudflats and mixed them with water and local sweet potato starch to make a filling meal.
Wow, that's amazing. So what started out as a desperate survival food evolved over centuries into Taiwan's ultimate modern comfort food.
Precisely. Comfort food. We use this term in English to describe traditional dishes that provide a sense of emotional warmth, nostalgic memories, and pure satisfaction.
I couldn't agree more. Sitting on a small plastic stool at a noisy night market on a cool evening, eating a hot, sticky, savory oyster omelet, it definitely gives me that warm, happy, comfortable feeling.
Final practice, explaining the process. Now let's pull everything together into a quick practice session so you can confidently explain this complex local dish to any foreign friend in English. Repeat each sentence after Paul.
Sentence 1. This is a classic Taiwanese oyster omelet. Sentence 2. We use starch water to give it a gooey and chewy texture. Sentence 3. It is wonderfully crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. Sentence 4. First, pan-fry the fresh oysters, pour the starch, and crack an egg. Finally, flip it over and top it with sweet and savory sauce.
Outstanding performance, Paul. If you can say those 5 sentences, you can officially guide any tourist through a Taiwanese night market. Full series conclusion. And with that, we have come to the end of our deep dive into the night market king here at Me Too English Club.
Man, I learned so much today, not just about food, but essential vocabulary like gooey, chewy, starch water, pan fry, and flip. I feel like my English vocabulary is growing stronger by the day.
Absolutely. Food culture is truly one of the most fun and effective ways to learn real-world English.
Thank you so much, Emily. And to all our amazing listeners out there, how do you prefer your oyster omelet? Do you like it extra crispy on the edges or super gooey in the middle? And are you team spicy sauce or team sweet sauce?
Drop your answers in the comment section below. Thank you for tuning in today, and remember to keep listening, keep speaking, and practice your English every single day.
Bye-bye, everyone. Time for me to grab another bite. Let's go eat.
Goodbye. See you next time.
Bye.